when you're trying to coax your car onto a freeway. $94.75 for starters, $13,000 nicely loaded. Say hello to Neon. High speed, low price. Plymouth Neon, now at your Chrysler Plymouth dealer.
Okay, in a world of SUVs, there's something to be said about the possibility of bringing something fun back. You're probably thinking, what am I talking about? I have to say that in today's world of SUVs, I'm a little disappointed. So for context, I drive a hatchback and I absolutely love it. It's one of the greatest things I think I've ever done. And of course, you know, hatchbacks are moderately expensive, but you know, the only people that really offer them are the Japanese and Korean counterparts. So where am I going with this? Way back when, there was a time when you could get a really fun, affordable, compact sedan, coupe, or potential hatchback, and they were offered by the Americans. And so the light bulb in my head went off of, what if, just what if, American car makers went back to compacts, specifically Dodge and Chrysler. I know, like the last people you thought I would have been mentioned, but I was thinking that this time in today's world of just super boring, drab SUVs, I think it's a great opportunity for both Dodge and Chrysler, and in some cases, Jeep, maybe, to come back and really offer something really exciting for the mass market. So here's where I'm going. Dodge used to be the big performer, right? They always offered something fun. And one of the greatest things to ever come out of the Dodge lineup was the Neon. In case you are probably older than, you know, me, in case you're younger than anybody born with the 19 number in front of their name, the Dodge Neon, especially for Gen Xers, was a big deal because it was the perfect compact sedan. It was fun, it was affordable, and the first generation was a hoot to drive with a 150 horsepower engine. Fast forward into today, and Dodge, Stellantis, Jeep, Chrysler, whatever you want to call it, offers nothing of the sort. And in this video, I wanted to talk about that because I really do think that this may be a great time for the Neon to return. What's up, guys? My name is Chris, and welcome to the breakdown where we talk about everything cars, news, and reviews. If you're new to the channel, welcome as always, and of course, if you're not, welcome back. So, as I was saying earlier, I think that Dodge has an opportunity here. Now, we all know about the Charger, we know about the Challenger, we know about the Altima Hellcat. I'm kidding. We all know about the great performance lineup for Dodge, but it seems as though that between Dodge and Ram, they've kind of forgotten about the sedan market with the exception of the Charger. But in this video, I want to make a case for one of the greatest opportunities I think could happen for not just Dodge, but Chrysler alike. And in this video, we'll be talking about that. So with that being said, if you're excited, stick around and stay tuned because you are now watching The Breakdown. Alrighty then. So, like I was saying, the Dodge Neon, back when it first debuted, was a huge deal. I won't go too deep into the specs because y'all know I like to talk and run my mouth and not necessarily talk about the car itself, but the meaning behind all of those things. Hold on, hold your horses. I'm getting to the point here. When the Dodge Neon, when it came out in 1994, already was a different kind of concept. It was supposed to be with sliding doors, and it was supposed to have some other cool, quirky features, which was ahead of its time for 1994. And it ended up moving to the production line and was one of the first compact sedans after the K cars of the Chrysler era of the Lee Iacocca. I said that right because I got beat up the last time when I said Iacocca. Shout out, he's a legend though. So with that, the Dodge Neon was a hoot. It came with the choice of two engines during its first generation, being 132 horsepower and then 150 horsepower later. Now, the reason why the Dodge Neon by comparison was such a big deal was because it was one of the first few offerings from American makers to be able to actively compete against the likes of the Honda Civic, the Toyota Corolla, and even the Mazda 323 or the Protege, whichever one was out at the time. The cool thing about the Dodge Neon is that it was everything you thought about when you thought about cheap. You know, everything from roll-up windows, and you could get these different trim lines. One of the main trim lines that was one of the most popular was the Highline. And of course, if you went up a little higher, you got the ES, and of course you got the also RT, which was supposed to be the Road and Track Edition, which premiered a little bit later, around the late 90s, kind of right around 1998, 1999. Now, the reason why I'm talking about this is because the Neon at its debut was supposed to be an affordable option for those people who couldn't quite get into something along the lines of a Corolla or something along the lines of a Civic. And why as it is kept, Corollas are more affordable than Civics, and Civics have never been cheap, and they've never had as many memes as well. So I guess there is that. But the thing that always stuck out about Dodge and Chrysler as far as the Neon goes is that it represented that you still cared about affordability in cars. Now, I've talked about this in many different videos and really referenced how we need more affordable cars, even though cars are cheaper than they've ever been. And I know that's a bit of a paradox, but the idea is that cars have become more and more expensive. And of course, you know, with the Dodge Charger / Challenger, I think is there anything left? I think the Dodge Grand Caravan and the Durango, is that it? I could be wrong. I don't know. I hadn't looked into it. But speaking off the cuff here, the Neon has pretty much been dissolved since its late heyday, since 2005. Now, the thing is that during the second generation, they did kind of neuter it a little bit. They only gave it one engine choice, and so it wasn't as rambunctious and as thrill-seeking as the first generation went. And part of this is because we begin to see the relationship between Chrysler and Daimler and the Daimler-Chrysler merger. And of course, you all know that anytime we have mergers and acquisitions, that usually means the dreaded word, budget cuts. But the Dodge Neon was kind of one of the first cars to really suffer from the hits of the budget cuts from Daimler Chrysler, particularly because SUVs were on the precipice of being really, really, really popular. In addition to that, the Dodge Neon was starting to wane in popularity because it just showed more and more evidence of cheap cost cutting. Really fun. Now, this was also during the time of the Stratus, the Intrepid, the Durango had just came out around 1998. Of course, you had the Dakota. Dodge was fun back then. And the thing that made it really, really awesome for the Neon is that there weren't just one trim, there were several trims. Now, of course, they got more condensed as time went on, especially towards the mid to late 2000s. And I can't forget about the big kahuna of Dodge Neon, which would be the SRT version. And there was a lot of inspiration from the Viper injected into this car. Now, the SRT4 was a manual, it was cloth, but baby, when I tell you it was the definition of a pocket rocket, it was rambunctious. Now, between the time of 1994 and 2005, the Dodge Neon lived a very long life, and in some cases, for some people, a little too long. But as time went on, we began to see more struggles between Daimler Chrysler and Dodge and Chrysler, of course, as a result. And so a lot of things got cut from the Chrysler side of things, not necessarily the Mercedes side of things. And around 2006, Daimler Chrysler dissolved. They sold off the company to, I think, Cerebras LLC. And so Dodge was kind of on its own afterward. Now, coincidentally, around this time, we also begin to see the discontinuation of the Neon, and eventually we would see the dreaded, but I guess lovable, Caliber. Now, I ain't gonna hold y'all. I used to want a Caliber SRT4. It was a hatchback, but it was a fun hatchback. Let's be clear. It was fun. But from the Neon to the Caliber, there was nothing left. And then Dodge would eventually create the Dodge Dart as a recreation of the Neon. Now that we've come full circle, I want to talk a little bit more about why the Neon would be a great representation for compact sedans today. Now, around 2016, FCA actually did bring back the Neon in the Mexican market as well as a few other markets, and it wasn't quite the same, but there was still a little bit of hope. It almost felt like reheated nachos for the Neon. Now, the opportunity here that I'm referring to is that the compact market has been struggling to beat anybody else that's not Toyota, Honda, or Mazda. And I'll even give the Elantra a win as well as the K4 a win because the Forte was a big deal for Kia. But there's no American car makers that make compacts. Even as I think about it right now, GM has basically abandoned them. We don't even have anything. You guys leave me a comment below and let me know if there's something I'm forgetting here. But most of the American makers have pretty much abandoned the compact sedan in favor of the compact or subcompact SUV. Now, where am I going with all of this? The simple answer is bring back the Neon in whatever iteration it may be. It may be a different name. It may be. I don't know. They tend to mess up names. And by the way, I had an RSX video talking about that too, and why we need to stick away from that if you want to check that out. Joke. But given that they have plenty of iterations, I think they're not thinking enough outside of the box. And the Neon, regardless of what trim level you got, whether it was the base engine, whether it was the RT, or whether it was the SRT, you had options and you had fun. And it was something about those vehicles that we knew they were cheap, but we didn't give a fuck. We want affordable cars, and this is a perfect opportunity for Dodge, more so Chrysler, because Chrysler only offers one vehicle at the time of this recording. I know that's like a running joke, but I'm dead ass serious. Is that they have an opportunity to bring a small, fuel-efficient, fun car, even if it is a naturally aspirated engine or if it's a hybridized engine. It doesn't matter. But there has to be something. I'm basically telling all the American automakers to stand the fuck up.
Y'all be weak in the knees. Stand up. Stand up.
I love all of the Japanese and Korean automakers, but big three, Dodge, come here, baby. Come here. Stand up. So this isn't a bitch out session. This isn't a call out session to say that they can't do it. In fact, it's the opposite. I genuinely believe that Chrysler, if anybody, has the capability of making the reiteration of the Neon and basically a successor to the very popular K cars from the 80s. And this is the perfect time to do so. But you guys let me know in the comments below how you feel about it, and if you feel like it would be a success or if it would be a flop. Please don't tell them folks to make a manual hatchback. It ain't happening, okay? Pack it up. Only people that want that is me and you, all right? Well, with that being said, thank you for sticking around to the end of the video, and until the next one, I will see you guys later.